As my past hangs seductively off the corner of your mouth, take me any way you want. A lullaby. Built to tighten wrists, ascend, pro-sick pleasure upon command, and tremble at knees. I scrape utterance off worship towards feet. Rest upon the howling, yes, mistress, the allure of being called your dirty sluts. I like it. Now I crave the imprint each note left amongst veins. These chord progressions from bites that caress my flesh, orchestrate hymns. Mona beyond whispers while communion giggles we venture. Alter and go slither beneath mansion floorboards then get bloated without judgment. Your peg thrusts, stretched to erupt infernos that becomes extinguished and saliva avalanches roaming down chests aimlessly. Tickling areolas quench my misery with blindfolded deprivation. She tells me, put your mouth here. Gagging on her world, sink teeth in savory valleys, rolling thighs widespread, just the tip of tongue made squirming a tradition each minute. Develop snow sheets sprinkling from her pussy that I bask in, the melted moist of Mauritius glacier. She demands, lie on your stomach and arch your back. The truth in flogging, relinquish autonomy, trace a path to erogenous solely in language. This emasculation builds vulnerability. Chip a diamond off my human to produce something genuine. Before shedding over 160 pounds, going from 330 to 157 once around the sun to pose nude as a statue to find my presence in the iris, she tells me, close your eyelids. I blinked. Father's heart transplant surgery, sciatica, nerve damage, failing kidneys, coming home one evening with another man's blood on his shirt. I blink. Potential divorce papers cut in sexual fingerprints. I blink. That blink, that blink, that blink, that blink. Sexual assault allegation, juvenile hall, criminal, sexual assault survivor. Blink. Chris, you're so emotional. Blink. Why are you hurting me? Blink. I just want to get a gun and I A silhouette's tease. Release warmth surrounding the softest place in the galaxy. Focus on how this feels and stay very still for me. Nails graze a numb mind. I obey and surrender as my past hangs seductively off the corner of your mouth.
And guess what? It's season 3. Kill the Poet. Welcome back.
Let's go.
And we got our boy Chris Siders in the building.
What's happening?
All right. You know, he's been up and down the West Coast doing poetry events. This man's a professional poet. He knows what it is. And you just read us, what was the name of that poem?
As my past hangs seductively off the corner of your mouth.
Seductively. Yeah.
Yeah, very spicy.
It's just spicy to say the least.
Omega spice.
Yeah. So, I mean, you don't have to really, I mean, unless you want to, you know.
Okay.
Even just the title itself, it's a very creative way of framing, you know, the stuff you were talking about. So go ahead and let us know how you got to that title and even the poem.
Okay. So I'm in a space of like exploring myself sexually. So recently, through a new friend of mine, we went to a BDSM event. And that BDSM event, I kind of, like, I always been interested in BDSM, but, like, I was, like, you know, coming from, like, South Central LA, like, people, like, man, that's some freaky deaky shit. So, like, you know, that's some freaky deaky shit. So then it always, like, made it, like, super taboo to do. So, when like I met this like new friend and like they was like really like kind of like into it, that was kind of like my gateway of like, okay, like I could explore this safely. Like this is someone that's like been in it and like won't look at me weird for like trying this out.
They won't leave you tied up.
Oh shit.
It's safe.
I mean, they did tie you.
Okay.
But they didn't leave you there though.
Yeah, they didn't leave you there. It was safe.
It was
trust there.
Yeah.
It was safe. It was like trust and like like it was just a great time, and like I unlocked like a side of myself that's like okay, like this is dope. This is cool. So, and for me, it takes a lot for me to like build up like physical intimacy, to like really trust somebody with my body. Like even like when it comes to kissing, like like for example, like I was kind of like seeing somebody in August, and like the most that we did, like I kissed her on the forehead.
Wait, real quick before you get into that.
Yeah.
What made you feel comfortable enough to go, and take this journey with this person?
So, just by talking, like our first conversation was just about vulnerability, and I was vulnerable with them about where I've been at in life, being falsely accused of sexual assault, and my journey of healing through that process with that trauma, and just amongst other things, and like. We just kind of built up instead of like just jumping into like something physical, you know?
Yeah.
And just knowing like, I feel like they got a great spirit and a great heart. So, I felt like we could just take that journey together, you know?
Word. There's trust there based on that, the convo.
There's a lot of trust. And since like partially this piece is like fantasy, and like the other part of it is like truth, right? Like some of the like BDSM things did happen, but the other parts of it is fantasy of what I would like to personally happen, what I like to like personally see. And then like there's the other aspect of it of like engaging in sex, the trauma that comes into play, like when I'm saying like when I close my eyes and like all these different things start to like happen from my past, like those traumatic events, which is why I don't engage in like sexual activity a lot like that. You know,
I think one thing that I mean, both of you guys kind of mentioned, which is like the most important part in engaging in any of that, is like trust, like that trust aspect. And correct me if I'm wrong. This experience was an experience where you actually felt like you were able to trust this person, and that's what made it a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
Got you.
It was a lot of consent. It was a lot of like, are you okay with this? Are you okay with that? We had multiple conversations about it before. And like just as a survivor of assault, like I was assaulted like 2 times, and one of the times I was homeless.
In addition to being like accused, you were also assaulted.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So like it was a healing experience for myself to like know that like sexual experiences, like there wasn't intercourse at all like with this experience, but like to get physical, like it was a healing experience in the sense of like it doesn't have to be aggressive, like, and especially just in light of being a black man too, because you already know like there's that stereotype that like we're hella aggressive and this, that, and the third. I'm not an aggressive person. I'm very sensitive. I'm super sensitive. So like just knowing that like there's like someone out there that could like be gentle in the you know, just the path that we could go on, like that's reassuring.
I will say, I don't know if sensitivity necessarily has to negate aggression.
I was gonna say, like you could totally be aggressive and sensitive at the same time.
Yeah.
Not to like, push back on too much on what you're saying, but it's like a sensitive person could definitely get aggressive. Not to say anything, but it's like it's one of those things.
But it's also different when it's like a if like I feel like there's a difference between like there being a stereotype of like you're black and you're aggressive versus listen, I'm a sensitive person, like I can be gentle and everything like that, but because I'm sensitive, like I can turn up sometimes, That's very different from is like, oh, and then it's mainly because I'm black was why I'm like aggressive,
Right,
you know.
right.
So I feel like there's nothing necessarily wrong with being somebody who is aggressive and sensitive, because there are people of all sorts of like races and everything like that who are sensitive and aggressive, like as fuck. I mean, we saw, you know, the January 6th people like sensitive
but
and aggressive, you know.
Like, we're not going there with that.
I'm just
It's
saying.
like,
I'm just
it's
saying.
like, no, you're totally right. But it's like, there's a difference. Like, certain people are emotionally aware of themselves, and like able to control their shit when it comes down to that kind of shit. You could be sensitive, but you don't have to be aggressive. I think that it's like a growth thing. Understanding your emotions, being emotionally wise or whatever, intelligent. And it's like, I think that's where you're getting at in a sense. It's like, even if you feel like, you know, you have that like in you in a bit, it's like people who are like emotionally intelligent don't allow those things to like manifest themselves into actions. At the very least, it's like
it's a discipline.
Yeah, it's like it's like a discipline thing for sure.
For me, I guess like I'm just like used to the that narrative of like black men, because like even what I said in the poem, like criminal sexual assault survivor, like I'm peeling all these different shit, like
That's
you know
who you are.
And it's just so
You know, go ahead.
it makes it so difficult to like trust people. It makes it so difficult to love people. Like I discovered that like I'm fearful of avoiding.
And I feel like environments play like a huge role in that too. Like especially if you are a black person, like in environments where there's not even that many like black people, you know, like some of those narratives or whatever sound a little bit louder, you know, and you have to kind of mold yourself and shape yourself to make sure that no, I'm not that, don't worry.
It's
you know.
easier for them to place those labels on you as well.
Yeah, it's way easier. Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're outside of you know, a comfortable environment, you know, and it doesn't even mean that like you're like a minority, but it's like you can feel it, like, you know, even without people saying it sometimes, you know, like just the way body language when, you know, you're just being yourself, you know, like it's very tough. It's very tough.
Yeah, like dead ass. That's actually like I'm not gonna get into it now, like until like after like the second poem, because that's how I got hit with the sexual harassment charge and falsely accused. Because she used my past against me. This was the very first person I was like really vulnerable with. Again, I'm not gonna get too deep into details until after, but she was like, "Yo, he has a violent past. He was a criminal at one point," and then that's how I got hit with charges. So it just that narrative, and then like that replaying over my head, like makes it difficult to engage in intimacy in different ways. So.
You feel like you built up a force field to protect yourself in a sense, because of like your past. And I don't want to get into it because we're gonna get into it later. But do you feel like it's like more difficult to deal with that kind of shit because you can't really trust motherfuckers like that?
Yeah, and so even outside the sexual and the romantic realm, even platonically, like
it bleeds into every aspect of life after a while.
1000%. Like an example, honestly, July 2021 is when like everything in my life completely changed. Like I'm not around the same people no more. I'm in like a completely different environment, completely different friends. Like I met y'all like February earlier this year. So like 2022, like so like a lot of my old friends like I cut off. And like being around in this new environment and trying to trust people with like these different stories I tell. Like the second piece that I'm gonna do for y'all, I broke down crying, like, and like I was so paranoid because I'm like what do they think of me? Like, can I really trust these people with my story? Can I really, be intimate? Can I be close? And like so overprotective of my spirit, you know, because I don't know these people, and granted they don't know me, and like. So it's kind of been a lot to navigate.
Have you revisited those spaces where those other people have been, like, since? Like, have you reconnected at all, or have they been completely, like, banished from your life?
Like,
banished. Probably not. Probably not, like,
excommunicated.
Exactly. Like, and of course, I'm sure we'll get into it. And I want to say as much as possible, but like, like at least some of those circles of friends, have you been able to like either make amends, like, or like reach out to them, or is it donezo's finished?
It's been like a personal thing.
I see. Okay.
One thing I will say, and I don't know, it's probably gonna start up some BS, but like this is just how I feel, and this is not any disrespect, because I'm not here to disrespect anybody. I think it's an emotional connection kind of thing, because I'm a very emotional person. Like I said, I'm very sensitive. So when I feel deeply about something, I feel deeply about something. What I came to realize is that I need an emotional connection to people to actually, like, for me to be around them. Yeah. I came to realize that they're not the most emotional people, and that's totally fine. Like, they're emotional about different things, but the way I'm emotional is very different. So, we just didn't click, and to where, like, I feel like I personally, I can't trust them with certain things, and that's okay, We're just different people.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I feel like it's really important in growth to be able to identify that sooner rather than later. I mean, sometimes it happens sooner, and sometimes it happens later, but it's always in hindsight where you're realizing, like, okay, like, we actually weren't as compatible as I originally thought, which is a far cry from your poem talking about being closer than, you could possibly ever think,
I mean, like, I'll always have love for them. Like, I still, like, text them happy birthday. Like, they text me, like, happy birthday. But, like, it never goes beyond that. Like, we don't really check in on each other. And yes, this is a definite far cry from, like, what the poem was about. But just to show, like, how...
Those folks aren't tying you up.
No. Hey, I just respect the level of honesty, bro.
Yeah, no, straight
and like your ability to just like tell that truth in a creative ass way. It's like that shit's dope. Like, motherfuckers is like jealous of that kind of skill.
Yeah, it's scary. It's scary to do.
And doing it in front of a fucking crowd.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That's actually one of the stories I have about this piece. So
let's get into it in the next segment.
In the next segment? Okay.
Yeah, because I think we're about to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to be getting a little bit deeper into some of the things that Mr. Chris Siders has alluded to along with his poem. What's it called?
As my past hangs seductively off the corner of your mouth.
And then the next poem?
The next poem is called Mockingbird. A closed letter to my current crush. Your smile frightens me like many before you. Cautiously traversing on stars to fall as your wish. Catch me in flesh stamped as dangerous. Everyone bear witness me. Black. My stomach became a graveyard of butterflies I drift, and no comments of how my cursed skin is undeserving of marriage. You are too dark for anyone to marry. Your skin is the color of shit. This is coming from black people, so I need for you to listen closely. Don't waste your time. Spring semester 2013, 19 years old, a woman named Nicole who barely knew me turned to her friends after watching me perform and said, one day, I'm going to marry that guy. Continued to pry my side with a simple question one late night, what is your story? Awkwardly pulling tales from a little black boy from an abusive home, not understanding death at 4 years old as he grips a skull that showed that he is not to be fucked with. She has left me feeling seen as an introduction to intimacy. The first step to kill a mockingbird. Construct a cage founded on trust to my current crush. No matter how much I gotten to know you over the past few weeks, your encouragement and compliments just translates to, you're not enough. Fall semester 2014, 21 years old, Nicole created distance, gaslit by suicide attempts under street lamps, taking on my burdens, the allure of a first kiss, misinterpreted intention, saying that going inside my brain, you erase myself from my life experience. It turns out that you're just a power-tripping white woman seeking revenge on men who harmed you in projection. Sugar law monsters someone's hidden in my pocket. See, the second step to kill a mockingbird is to isolate and make them feel alone. Chris touched me and he won't leave me be. Walk into my friend's room, leave lipstick marks on his cheek. Smile as I'm present to make me jealous and give the idea that I'm somehow excessive. The devil in the new dress made everyone that once claimed to love me suddenly absent. Said that with Chris' violent past, he could hurt me or any woman. Title IX gave me 24 hours between two choices. Either admit to the charges or get taken to court. In other words, swallow the bullet away publicly by rope, my nigga. So to my current crush, the shrapnel shifts inside when confronted with intimate decisions. Forced to clip butterfly wings for the guilt and shame that built up inside me. Because when I see me, I see my grandfather sexually abusing my grandmother, my own mother in the corner watching her brothers plot to kill him. All I see is the time I called my female classmate a bitch and the time I almost taken her life with my bare hands. So that's the final step to kill a mockingbird. It's to permanently damage the voice and let others tell the story. And I know this is not me. White feminists contributed to this Handmaid's Tale sung by America. So I ignite myself on fire to let these feelings melt before your eyes. So to my current crush, I beg of you, please stop wasting your fucking time.
And we're back with Chris Siders, who just listened to his poem Mockingbird. A very introspective and deep poem regarding like something very painful that happened in your life. Now, personally, I really like the imagery with the mockingbird and how you kill one and everything like that. Would you be able to go into a little bit how you chose that imagery to attach to this experience you went through? Like how did you gel those two ideas together and why? You know.
So the concept, like, it's actually based off of the book To Kill a Mockingbird, written by Harper Lee.
Yep.
And so the mockingbird represents like the innocence of a person. So like in this poem, I'm illustrating how this person, Nicole, how she killed my innocence in the sense of like, and showing the steps of it, like construct a cage founded on trust. That was the first step. And that first step, she was the very first person I was vulnerable with. She was the very first person I had a kiss with, my very first kiss. 19 years old, and like I remember everything. And so there was that. And then the second step to isolate and make me feel alone, where making these false accusations of what like I did, what she felt like I did, when I know I didn't do anything, and turned the entire community against me. Like she got all my friends against me, tried to get like even like my best friends at the time to be like, yo, he did this to me, he's stalking me, he's violent and da-da-da, and didn't do any of the sort. And also, it's very important to note, like I said in the poem, like this is a white woman and I'm a black man. Like race is like in the picture no matter what. There's a historical factor of black men being accused of shit they didn't do, especially when it comes like sexuality in
like
in relationships.
To Kill a Mockingbird, like kind of like that. Okay.
Yeah.
I see. If you don't mind me asking, I know the story and everything like that, but when you say that you were like falsely accused, and like I know that you know what you did and everything, but like how did that kind of roll out? You know what I mean? Like if I'm sure it got to a big thing because you were talking about an entire community and everything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're comfortable with going in the story, no worries. Like, if you're not, yeah. How did that unfurl? And were you vindicated at some point? Like, how did that go?
Yeah, so like it's kind of like what I was like explaining earlier in the sense of how like this situation plays into my trust issues.
Mm-hmm.
So in Monterey, I got like heavily into poetry, and then like they started to like the community started to bring me up into opening up for like Rudy Francisco, Shion the poet, and like countless other like poets, and then like I kind of built a name, and then like people started to put me on this pedestal, right? Like, oh, there's the black feminist guy, and like just because like I would speak out about a lot of shit or be involved with different like projects and groups like the Vagina Monologues or the Mini Monologues and like Title IX and stuff like that. So that year in particular, Title IX, they kind of enforce like sexual harassment policies and like racial discrimination, but they're mostly on our campus. They're mostly known for like sexual assault awareness. Yeah. So they wanted me to like get on the news and like outwardly speak. And at the time,
before all everything that you were talking about happened, right?
This is knee deep in the shit at that time, and like I didn't feel comfortable because like with everything going on for one, and number two, like just being a man and like knowing like my privilege, I felt like it just didn't feel right.
Yeah. Okay.
But these are like they felt like I should, so then I did it. So with that, like again, like that just boosted like my visibility and my notoriety, and people was putting me on the pedestal. So then like when she started to tell people like Chris did this to me, every last person that was like, yo, like I love your work, like I'm riding with you, this gone.
Yeah, real quick. So my question is not to cut you off, but I think it plays into it. It's like the people who like ended up turning around and running off on you in that moment. A lot of them, I'm sure, were like people that you had like known recently, like professionally, that you had gained like rapport with through your work. I'm sure a lot of them were also people that you had known for a long time. My question is like, how did you deal with, and why do you think that the people who know you like really well and have known you for a long time, why would they choose to switch up, and how did that make you feel? And even speak on the people who might not have switched up, because I'm sure that there are people that still like, I want to believe that there are people that like didn't switch up on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was a handful. There was definitely a handful that didn't switch up, but like a good like 80-90% like definitely gone. And yeah, it just made me feel alone. It made me feel like all the like love and shit was fake. These are people that I spent like 4 years of like college with. Like this happened like my 4th year of school. I was in school for 5 years. So like it wasn't like I didn't know these people. Of course, like there's different like levels of like how personal, but like these are people that I've seen every day, and like they know me and I know them. We talk. Yeah. So for them to like think that like I would act this way or be this way, and it's like, you know, my personality, like, again, like, I'm very sensitive and I'm very awkward. Like, I'm not the type of person to start a fight. I'll end a fight. Don't get it twisted now. Like, but like, yeah, I'm not the type to like wow the fuck out. So, yeah, it really did hurt. It hurt a lot. And how the situation like ended. Yeah, she went to Title IX, and I was working for Title IX, as y'all know. And they called me in the office and said, all right, here's a list of charges. Sexual harassment, violence, stalking, obsession. And they gave me 24 hours to sign this document. They said, you can either sign this document admitting to these charges, or go to court.
And just for like anyone listening or people that don't really actually know the story, like what what actually happened, you know, if those were the charges, and like, you know, I know the story, but like if those were the charges, and you know, and what actually happened, you know.
What went down?
Yeah. So 2 years prior to the incident, kind of seeing each other, like not official or anything, but like there was expression of like kind of like have feelings for each other, and this was like my first time like engaging in this kind of like way, because I always been like really awkward. So we shared some experiences together. It was great, and then like she had to study abroad. She went abroad, and I didn't see her for like a year or two. She came back, and when she came back on campus, things got weird because like she wasn't like speaking to me, and I'm like, why aren't you speaking to me? So I'm asking around some folks. I'm like, hey, like, did I do something wrong? And this is where like I take accountability, right? So like I was so insecure that I was asking other people for help, like instead of like just approaching her
directly.
Yeah, like that's where I fuck up, and like, you know what I'm saying, and because of that, she thought that, oh, Chris is stalking me. Chris like
from asking people around and everything.
Yeah, just to ask like, how can I like I'm in this situation, what did I do wrong? I don't understand what I did wrong, because like I care about this person. Like I shared like a super big part of myself to you that no one else really knows. So again, that doesn't excuse what I did. Like so one evening a friend was like being the mediator and like us trying to hash things out. That's where like the comment came about of, I wish I could go inside your brain and erase yourself from your memory. Like that's what she told me. That's what she told to me, and that hurt. Wow. That hurt a lot. And
Wait, say that one more time.
She said that I wish I could go inside your brain and erase yourself. Erase myself from your memory. That's what she told me. And the whole suicide attempt thing. So.
Part of the poem, right? Or I mean, I'm assuming this is maybe part of something that like actually happened too. Like
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
This was when we was like kind of like seeing each other and whatnot. I was going through a lot. My father had colon cancer, failing kidneys, and I lost like 5 or 6 other people like that same year, that same school year, my sophomore year.
Wow.
And there was this weird thing going on with myself where I felt like I was literally seeing death around campus, like how you would like imagine the Grim Reaper, like in like a black hoodie and like the sight and shit. Yeah, I felt like I literally seen that. Like I would walk around campus and like in the midst of all these different people, just standing there looking at me, and like I didn't see a face, but just standing there. And so and then it was like a lot of survivor's remorse because my second day of school, an old high school friend passed away in a car crash, and his daughter was in the car. So it was a lot going on emotionally, and I did this thing like almost every other night or so. We'll walk around campus like a midnight walk just to myself. And one of the times I had a suicide prevention paper with me, and I called it. One night I just completely kind of just lost my shit, and police got involved. I was placed on 5150 watch, and when I got out, I told her what happened. I said, "Hey, like this happened. I'm okay." And then she took on the blame herself. She thought that she
Helped cause it.
yeah, but the thing is, like, 'cause she felt that way because we had a big fight right before.
I see.
And it had nothing to do with her. Like, what set me over was an email that I got from my math instructor saying that you're about to fail this class because you bombed this test. That's when I was like, lost my shit.
Yeah.
Everything piled up.
Yeah. So, and it's such a small community to where we can't avoid each other.
Yeah.
So, a lot of the things that I'm into when it comes to activism is the same shit that she was into. So we saw each other in the same spaces, and she lived right next door to one of my best friends. So I had to like pass her house to get to his place. And then again, that incident where she like kissed my friend on the cheek, that actually happened. Like, I'm sitting there on the floor working on some beats, and like she came in, sat on his lap, and kissed him on his cheek, and left like a huge like lipstick mark. And I'm like, is that really necessary? Like, you know, you don't like me, you already hate me, so like, what are you doing? Like, I want no smoke with you. But then still doing all this like wild shit. And then claiming that I'm trying to taunt you and harass you. So like, yeah.
Now, I understand that part of the poem, you're referencing a crush. When you say, like, to my crush, are you referencing this girl, or are you talking about someone else?
So yeah, I'm talking about someone else. It was a recent crush, and it's wild. The first time I performed this piece, like yeah, I performed it in front of them, and like I think they kind of knew it. Like I explained it to them later about it, but it's like the whole point of it was like, don't judge me off my past. Like, in how scared I was to like continue on in this way of like getting to know someone and like having to let them know like, hey, like I have issues with physical intimacy because of this. I have issues with mental and emotional intimacy because of what happened to me. So that's why like I was telling them like, okay, if this is too much to handle, don't waste your time.
It's kind of like she pulled up to baggage claim and you're showing her the bags.
That's a great way of putting it. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, are you down to claim these?
Yeah.
And, you know, yeah, no, and that makes a ton of sense. You know, and that's I can only imagine that that's a difficult place to be in reference to this girl. And based on what you're saying, like I'm thinking that all the friends, they're all your friends too, and your air quotes friends, you know, everything like that. And then when the story gets depicted in a certain way, then it turns out that way, you know. But yeah, that's tough. So you decided to, okay. So it was like a letter outlining it to the crush that you currently had.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible. And that's pretty fire. One thing I'm gonna tell you, dude, like, I see what you're doing. You're running up and down the coast. You don't stop hustling in terms of like the the poetry game, and that's really respectful. And takes a lot of energy and time, and I respect the hustle, dude. And do you have anything else that's like coming out like pretty soon?
I got a deluxe version of my album. That's coming soon.
Let's go.
East Coast tour.
Oh wow.
Also,
Okay.
not gonna say where yet, but soon international.
Very nice.
I got Connect.
Hell yeah.
And working on the next album. Just steady working. Oh, I got a DJ residency at the Museum of Contemporary Art.
Okay.
Yeah, third Thursdays in the month, and yeah, it's with K Chong Radio. So
Very nice. Very nice.
Good work, bro.
All those